right, a very good morning to you waking up to us. This is the KOKLIRIKO live show. It is the first edition for this week, and that means that we are already into a new week. That is also really where we are going to be summarizing the month with. Remember, this is the last week into the month of May. I don't know how prepared you are to wind up with the month, but nonetheless, you're most welcome to the show. And today, it being a Monday, we are going to be doing much of the talking, stretching back up to Friday, because what we are here to do is also really to give you a recap of some of the stories that could have transpired over the weekend, because on Mondays like this, what we do is we do not exclude stories that happened over the weekend and really up to Friday, because Friday is actually our last day when we have this show here. But really, you are most welcome. My name is Farish Majid. It's a great pleasure having you on board. For those of you watching us, that is via StarTimes, channel 477, we say great thank you so much. And for those of you watching us online as well, we also really very, very much do appreciate you. But really, we are welcoming you as we start off the show. We hope you had a wonderful weekend, and now you are ready for a new week. And this is already where we are seeing the learners returning back to school. But the question you should be asking yourself, maybe as a parent or guardian out there, is that, is your child among those who are returning back to school today? This is the question that we should be asking ourselves, because in most times we have a tendency of our learners returning back to school after 1 week, after 2 weeks, which is really quite unfortunate. But really, on a good note, as I was on my way to work, I was able to see a number of children onto the streets going to school, and that should also tell us, that shows that really our learners are very much serious. They are actually ready to go back to school, and they have been missing, that is also really classroom, for about a month. And that is why we are saying, is your child among those returning back to school, is the question that you should be asking yourself. But really, as a learner out there, also really, what reason do you have for staying home, is the question so really you should be asking yourself. But really, you're most welcome as we get that's the start of the show. And really, we are also really reminding you that also really for those who are at home, we must make sure that we return back to school, because if at all we are going to be staying home, there's nothing that we're going to be doing still other than just return and just later there, while as our colleagues in other parts are already of course busy that's in the classroom. Because if you really see what is happening elsewhere, you will be able to realize that maybe children in Kampala and Central in general and other areas have already returned back to school maybe 2 to 3 days ago. For them, they have returned back to school. Ours could be returning back today, or else return over the weekend. But really, we are saying it is not the tendency of those who are supposed to go and clean the school. But in most cases, we had that tendency. I remember as we were growing up, we had a tendency that the first day is for the other learners to clean up the school compound. But really, who is that learner you think is your maid to do that for you? That is the question really we should be asking ourselves as learners, because on the first day like this, we have a tendency of not returning back to school just because we feel it is not a day of also learning. But what we have realized today is that when schools reopen like this, it opens up with full gear. In most cases, we see schools actually starting off teaching on the first day, but really amidst the few turnout of learners. But what we are saying is that as parents, we must make sure that we send our children back to school within this week. If at all they did not return back maybe yesterday for different reasons here and there, we must make sure that we send them that is this week. That is that also really they get to understand why they need to go back to school. But really, that is also something I must remind you of, because it's quite good for us to also really understand that we have to go back to classroom and also start concentrating for other needs. And that is why at the end of the day, we may also really pass very well, and that is really shows maybe if at all the region is supposed to witness an improvement in the results, and then definitely such days must be taken seriously. Because as a learner, really, what if that thing that you know is going to come in your name is set on the day that on the topic that was taught today, and you just miss out? That is really quite unfortunate, because once you miss out, and maybe you miss out from the teacher, it wouldn't also really be easy for you to understand next time. Maybe if at all this concept that was taught today comes in examination, it will also really be quite difficult for you. And that is why we are saying, as learners, the learners must not miss that is classroom, and they shouldn't also really leave themselves behind, thinking that the first day, as always, is not for teaching, it's also for cleaning. And that is really quite unfortunate. And that is why we are saying people must also really desist from the tendencies of saying the first day is not for learning, which is really quite unfortunate. But what we are saying is people must ensure that the first day is actually taken care of, and they must report that it's classroom to have learning from the first day. And that is one thing where I must also really leave a discussion with, and remember the matters also really on their way. They're about to reach Kampala. Really, we shall be able to sort of getting an update from there. But let's now get off. That is with the stories happening on Daily Monitor this morning, as we had a scenario where 3 people were declared dead with 60 others injured after players of Lango province were on their way for a friendly authority. This is something we did see happening, where at least 3 people have been confirmed dead. This was on Saturday, after a minibus they were traveling in. They were traveling in. This is players of Lango province. After their van, also that truck collided with the truck, which was also along Lira Soroti Highway, where we did see at least 60 people getting injured there. And this is only something where we did say is quite unfortunate, but really we pray for our brothers and sisters also really who got this involved in this accident, and these are people of Lango province, because really this is quite unfortunate, because I do understand that these are also really people who are yet preparing maybe to also retain the trophy in there, which has also really been very much difficult for them, and that is really where they are going through a lot, and this is also really where we need to put our prayers for them. We need to extend our prayers for those who actually got involved in this accident. And the minibus belonged to Dokolo School of Nursing, was en route from Dokolo district to Lira City after also collided with the truck transporting guests that's from attending a traditional marriage ceremony that's in Lira City in there, which is really quite unfortunate. And this is why we are saying people must ensure that they do not transport their people in these trucks, which is really quite unfortunate. The police attributed the collision to speeding by the truck driver following the 8 p.m. crash in there, which is really quite unfortunate, because as somebody who is from a party, I understand a party also sometimes comes with its own vibe, but really as you're turning back, as the driver, you must also really control yourself. You must make sure that also really these people whom you're transporting lives is in your hands. We must also respect that, because if at all you're not going to be respecting that, then that's when you are going to be speeding, which also really comes with its own negative repercussion. And really the vehicle, the coaster number, registration number UBL815Z, a coaster also really carrying Lango province footballers coming from Dokolo side, also really was heading towards Lira City, and the motor vehicle also really registration number UBA200J also really was carrying passengers where they were coming from a traditional marriage, and upon reaching also really along that Lira Soroti Highway, the driver of also really the Fuso, who was allegedly speeding, lost control in there and rammed into that is the coaster here, killing at least 3 people, and one of the actually 2 people were confirmed dead is actually the children to the PRO, which is quite unfortunate. And this is something also we did see yesterday, but we continue on with them and also really ask God to also really heal the ones who are yet at the hospitals quickly. That also really will be quite well, because accidents are really sudden happen, and these are while growing up, we used to describe accidents as unexpected sudden happenings, but really I am saying sometimes we can also control these accidents by just rather one thing, avoiding overspeeding, which is solely something that we must also ensure does not happen, because if at all people overspeeding, we have the right to tell the drivers, please driver, my life is in danger, avoid the speeding, reduce the speed, because I do not want to solely die. And that is why we are seeing so many campaigns emerging today. And if you really see so many of these campaigns that also we are seeing, we have the trade deco, we have so many of them which have also actually come in place to actually ensure that the issues of accidents are reduced. But really, how can we ensure that also the issues of overspeeding among the drivers is reduced? Because most of the times we have seen these drivers also really not listening, because we see them overspeeding amidst all the several campaigns. And the truck driver reported himself to Kaberamai, the police station, where the minibus driver is among the 60 currently nursing injuries. That's at Lira Regional Referral Hospital. And this is something also where we didn't see that happening. But really, we also say the issues of also the overspeeding must be reduced, because if at all people are not overspeeding, then we may also see a reduction in the cases of accidents. But really, how can we limit accidents is actually the way that we are also asking ourselves this early morning. I really ask the viewer, what do you think needs to be done? Because we are witnessing these accidents also really often. There each and every month we are reporting a case of an accident, and what is the cause? We are attributing it to overspeeding. And then how can we reduce the cases of overspeeding, which has often been there, is the question also really I want to extend to you as the viewer. Now let's move to Buganda, where the kingdom is asking Museveni's government to return also really remaining assets to them, and that is one thing also we are seeing in the past morning. As Buganda Kingdom, also the officials have asked the central government and President Museveni also to return the cultural institution remaining assets, which were taken also over during the 1966 government, raided by that's also former president, that's Milton Obote Army in there. This is something also where we didn't see these people often demanding for these attires, but really when shall they also get these things is the question also we were asking ourselves, because we realized that also these kingdoms were banned some time back, but now also we did see the government of Museveni restoring back them, but really so up to date. Some of the items have still remained that's incarcerated. But really, when shall they get them? Is the question also we ask them ourselves now. Are these things that's actually there? Is something also I do not know. And the attack on palace by also the Obote's army happened during the reign of Kabaka Edward Mutesas, who was forced to flee into exile. Well, this is also where we did see that happening. And speaking on Friday during the official Juma prayers held at Chibuli Mosque to mark 58 years since the raid, the kingdom's premier Haji Twaha Kawese, who represented also the cathedral Charles Peter Maiga, said the central government ought to return also the kingdom their remaining assets, and that's something also they are demanding up to now. And according to him, the heritage is back on track, and the only duty they have is to promote and protect what the kingdom is, and that is also something we did see happening in there. And he also noted that the commemoration comes at a time also where Kabaka Ronald Mwenda Mutebi is celebrating his 69th birthday in there. And the Supreme Mufti of Chibuli faction, Muhammad Galabuzi, urged Ugandans also really to support and promote their culture because it contributes to their well-being and towards the development of the country, and that is also something we did see in there. Remember, the king of Uganda is actually celebrating 69th birthday, but we have also received information, and this is in form of rumors, that he has also already been about 50 days in a hospital and in Namibia, and this is only something where some people have been asking, where is the man? But really, we have received information now that also really he has not been feeling well. But really, if you look at what is happening in Buganda Kingdom and you realize that the assets these people have been demanding them over a long period of time. And 2021, President Museveni, who has also been in power since 1986, when he also shot his way to State House through 5-year guerrilla warfare, also and he said his government is willing to surrender to Buganda Kingdom all its properties in possession to the central government in there. And he reportedly also made the communication during a 5-hour meeting with Buganda officials led by Charles Peter Maiga at State House in Entebbe recently. And the central government seized the assets following the 1966 crisis, during which also the then executive prime minister abrogated the 1962 constitution, banning all kingdoms, and introduced what we call a republican constitution in there. But really, how can we ensure that this matter is actually addressed? Because this for maybe also that thing means to them. And really, if we keep these things maybe incarcerated like that, we may not be able to solely understand why exactly we need to also have these assets handed back. And this is something which I really feel at the end of the day also they should also get them back. But really, that is one thing we shall be able to keep on following up, and as this is already maybe something that we need to talk about. Recently, we are celebrating the World Culture Day, and we have also gotten to understand that we have what we call cultural tourism, and that cultural tourism is actually one thing that is attracting some people. And we do have also tourists who are coming all the way from wherever they are coming from, that is just to jet into Uganda just to have a look at the different kingdoms. And that is why setting maybe these kingdoms to what also maybe to a perfect level could be able to solely also attract more tourists. And that is why we are saying we need more of these kingdoms also to emerge. And it shouldn't also just be Buganda Kingdom alone. We need to see more of these kingdoms emerging. We need to see the kingdom of also Aluru rising up. We need to see the kingdom of Soga also all rise to the peak, and that is something which I feel at the end of the day would also attract more tourists to the different places. And that is also for what we call cultural tourism, because we do understand that some people move from wherever they are moving from just to get in the country to see what other people's cultures are entailing. And that is one thing also I want to say at the end of the day will be quite well, and it is quite definite. And also we need to promote our cultures, and today we are saying to promote our culture is quite simple. We need to also show the world what we have, and that is why many people would also wish to come to our cultures and also get free to mix with us. And that is something where we need to leave our discussions with as we get to also have a discussion and also other topics happening in here, because it being a Monday, we have so many issues that we prepared for you, and that is also where we need to also not to leave you out in terms of also any update of something that maybe could have happened in your know or in the absence of what you know in there. But really, that is why we are here to keep you informed and updated, so that also you make informed decisions. And remember, this is also where we give information in what we call current affairs. And that is why we are saying you as the viewer also really must be watching us each and every mornings right from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock, Mondays to Fridays. And today is a fresh new week, and that is why we are already here doing it in style. And remember, we are going to be doing this with you up to the hour of 9 o'clock. Now let's move to Buyende, where a family of at least 4 have perished after a fuel business burnt their house in there. But really, this is something also quite often where we have been talking about the dangers of what we call smuggling. And remember, smuggling has actually been smuggling in Arua City, where issues of illegal fuel has actually been on the top notch. But what we are saying is that people must desist from these tendencies, because if at all we continue to also engage in this business, our lives are danger. And this is what Uganda Revenue Authority has been also telling people, that really, you see, you're engaging in this fuel business, but really it is quite dangerous. We have lost many lives, and that is why we are saying people must desist from this tendency. Much as it is a lucrative business, but our lives are in danger. Now we are receiving news in Buyende, where a man, his wife, and 2 grandchildren have also died after a fuel business. They were running, exploded into fire that engulfed also their house. That's at Chiga landing site in Buyanza, a village in Buyanza sub-county in Buyende district, which happened on Friday, and this was in the evening. And this is quite unfortunate, but really we continue to mourn with these families. But we are saying people must also really find alternative sources of income, that is besides also really wanting to engage in what we call the fuel business, which is quite illegal and quite dangerous at the same time, because if at all you are going to be also engaging in that fuel, any slight fire, your house is on fire, and also really that is quite unfortunate, where you are going to be losing a lot of property, you are also going to be losing lives in there. This is why we are saying people must desist from these tendencies, because I do understand it is quite a lucrative business, not only in Buyende, but we have also seen it also booming, that is in the Western sub-region, parts of Arua City, Arua district, also Maracha and Terego, where we have seen young boys also really engaging by the roadsides to sell this fuel here. But what we are saying is we need to also leave that business, because it is quite dangerous. At the end of the day, you may also lose your life, which may be very dangerous for you. And the deceased have been identified as Patrick Oksendi, who is a 67-year-old, and his wife, that's Jessica Muchala, a 64-year-old, and the grandchildren, that's who are identified as Peter Sengugo, a 3-year-old, and Shalom Namu, who is 1-year-old. And these are things also where we did see that happening. And Busoga North Police spokesperson Michael Kasada says the incident happened when a customer went to buy petrol from a boat engine, and also in the process of filling up his container, some fuel also dropped at the doorway near a charcoal stove on which a kettle had been placed in there. But really, this is quite unfortunate, and this is where we are saying people must not do this business at home. They must also really leave that fuel business in there, so that also really and we get to understand why URA has been telling us to this from this business, because if at all we are not doing that, then definitely our lives are danger. The initial efforts by Sandy's wife to put out the fire failed, forcing her to allow down the charcoal stove, which lit the fuel, also jerrycans, which exploded into flames, leaving the quarter dead and also property also destroyed in there. Survivors included their daughter Damali Nantogo, a 20-year-old, and the granddaughter Bridget Namialo, who is 9-year-old, and one identified as William Sandy, who escaped with the injuries in there. But really, this is why we are saying people must desist from these tendencies, and the fishing communities and border riders find it easier to buy fuel. And this is according to information why we are receiving this business booming. That is from the roadside, also vendors, and also this is where they do not also mind about maybe why it is that. And Key noted also, Kalyango noted that added it was luck that the fire also really didn't spread that to many surrounding grass-thatched houses that's in the landing side. And this is where we are saying people must also really desist from that tendencies, because most of the times we have seen efforts by Uganda Revenue Authority to empower this legal fuel, but really it has not yielded very much, because this fuel is said to find its way, that is from the parts of Democratic Republic of Congo, where we have been told that the fuel that side is a bit cheaper compared to what we are seeing in Uganda. And that is why many people engage in that business, because after the fuel finding its way into the country, definitely the demand is very high, because usually it is quite cheaper than what the petrol stations are offering, and that is why some people opt to also want that fuel. Today, I do understand that there are some people who cannot also move to the petrol stations because they feel that fuel of petrol station is not good. And that is why we need to also ensure the stereotype and the negative mindset among the masses is changed. And that's why people must embrace fueling from the petrol stations, so that only those who are engaging in this trade can be able to live it. And now let's move on. NDA empowers drugs worth shillings 21 million. That's in Kayunga and Mukono districts. This is only another story that we are seeing on a past morning, and because efforts also by Uganda, by the National Drug Authority, which is actually the body that is mandated to also ensure that smooth chain into movement of drugs is concerned, is actually one thing that we did see happening in there. The National Drug Authority has impounded that is drugs worth 21 million shillings following a 3-day compliance enforcement operation targeting also what we call illegal drug outlets in Mukono and Kayunga districts in there. And the regional inspector of drugs for the southeastern region, that is Dr. Zaid Mwanda, said the operation took place, that's in Nachifuma, Kangulumira sub-county, also in Mukono and Kayunga district space in there. And during the operation, 51 drug outlets operating without licenses or unqualified personnel, as well as clinics also operating under inspected buildings. Also, we are closed and 84 boxes of medicines were seized in the process in there. But really, this is something also we are saying people must also ensure they comply in the guidelines already issued by National Drug Authority, which is the body that is mandated to also ensure that drug movement is quite well in there. But really, this is one thing I also want to say, people must also ensure they abide by the added that the operation was in line with also the NDA's mission to protect and promote public health through effective regulation of human and also animal medicines and healthcare products in there. But today, really, you will get to realize that also today we have so many quacks infiltrating, that's what we call the drug shops, and there are also medical areas in there. But really, how can we ensure that we limit this process out? Is the question, so really somebody out there could be able to have an idea on. But really what we are saying is people must ensure that they leave the tendencies of what we call, that is also really quacks, because quackery is actually one thing that has been infiltrating that process. You know, so many people are disguising as medical personnel when they are not. And really, how can we ensure that these people are also really who are putting the lives of so many people at danger is concerned? Because we get to understand that some people also now today have more trust in these medical quacks more than also really those really doctors, which is quite unfortunate because they feel these people actually give them the right prescriptions. I really want to say this is one reason also we must desist from, because this quack is going to put your life at danger, which will also really mean a lot to you, where you may also really spend a lot of money, where you could actually put your life at danger. Maybe if I told they wrongly prescribe for you drugs in their world, if they wrongly inject you, is actually where also really I want to say people must embrace the drug shops, first of all, which are being also operated by professionals. This is quite common in the villages, where we are seeing sometimes people having the tendencies of having more trust in what we call these quacks more than also the other qualified medical personnel. And this is quite unfortunate, where also self-medication is actually a concern, where some people just move in and buy the drugs from this also maybe the quack doctors who do not actually guide where necessary in them. Furthermore, he alleged that also he urged that the public should also purchase drugs only from licensed pharmacies, and drug shops is already happening in there, as well as report anyone successful or illegal operation of drug shops in there, which is really something also we want to also ask people also to ensure that they also do. Meanwhile, drug shop operators whose drugs have been impounded have been asked also impounded have been asked to check with the Southeastern also regional office in Jinja for compliance guidance in there. Dr. Mwanda points out that there has been an improvement or that's in compliance among drug shop operators, citing also the Mukono district, which had 450 licensed outlets in 2023, and but currently has 720, including that's 800 applicants in there. But this is something also we should also be able to follow up on, and what we are also telling the National Drug Authority and other mandated bodies also is to ensure that also those people who are seeking the assistance must also really ensure that they get what we call the assistant quickly, because if you really see what is happening today, you will be able to realize that also sometimes these nurses who have actually qualified after graduating, but when they want to get their licenses, the process is quite tedious, and sometimes it's really quite long, and that is why some people opt to also not to obtain the license in time. And that is one thing also why we are saying people must ensure they get the licenses in time, other than also really keeping these clients also for long waiting in there, which will also not be well. And applicants also get their applications after approved, that's 90 days or 30 days, so if their documents are certified. In addition, Dr. Mwanda noted that all the applicants must be qualified nurses or pharmacists also to run these drug shops in there. And this is something also where we are saying people must also ensure that they respect the issued guidelines that have also been laid in place, so we are not caught up by other maybe acts which would also be quite unfortunate. And now let's move on. Let's look at some of the stories happening. Two people have been jailed also for 6 years. That's for stealing electric wires in Mayuge district. In there, that's something we did see happening, but really on quite sad note, where people were also really arrested for theft in there. This is one thing also I want to say shouldn't be the case. And Mayuge Grade 1 Magistrate has also sentenced two people, that is to serve 6 years in Ikulwe prison for vandalizing and also really stealing electric wires in there. But really what is also happening to some people, because most of the times we have been talking about vandalism of electricity poles also really, which has also been the case in most parts that's mostly central region, where we have also seen people also really getting to steal these electric wires. But how do we also make sure this would not go on with the tendencies of stealing electric wires is the question also that we should be asking ourselves. And Miss Harriet Atim Okello ruled that Kalifan Asman Mulondo and in Talo also the Egesa, both residents of Mpungwe village, that is already in Mpungwe sub-county, were also guilty of committing the offense in their village on that in January 2024. On May 24th, Ms. Atim said the defendants' actions amounted to economic sabotage of both Mayuge district and the county at large, and this is where they were arrested. And this is also something where I want to say people must desist from, because if people are getting to also really understand why they need not to steal these electric wires, because first of all you are risking your life. What if in the process of also really stealing that maybe that electrical installation in there and you get shocked, and also you maybe you endanger the life of others, which is also something which has been there, because we have seen sometimes also people wanting to steal from the transformers, where others have also sometimes lost their lives, where they have also at times also risk the lives of others, where we have seen many people also getting shocked by electricity in there. But what we are saying that is that people must also ensure these tendencies of also wanting to steal electrical installation must also be avoiding the that also we not get more people also involved in that accident, maybe this incident in there. And she ruled that also I will sentence each of you to a jail term of 6 years, and others also still at large can pick a lesson from you. And that is also maybe as a warning to those who would also want to engage in that also same practice in there. And this is also where we did see this incident happening. That's contrary. That's Section 85, subsection A of what we call the Electricity Amendment Act. In there, she said that the court had been lenient on the culprits, but also giving them a 6-year jail term because their offense attracts that's a minimum of 12 years or fine of that is 10 millions in there for stealing that's electrical items in there. And she said that since the two had been on remand for the past 2 months, their punishment also was reduced to that period of jail term. And Uganda Electricity also Distribution Company Limited, which is abbreviated as the UEDCL, our territorial manager for Busoga Subdivision, Mr. Alex Asime, said tampering with electricity if affects that's education and business in the country area, the security also should help them also in that's apprehending the people who are behind that is vandalizing electricity items, and which says adding that it's also a social insecurity also as always in areas without power. Vandalism also is something we did see happening, and this is where we see the crime rates being very, very much high. And remember, areas that are known to be dark spots in most cases attract also the criminals. But really, how can we ensure that also we help those who are maybe first of all engaging in this activity also help, because we want to see that also nobody is engaged in that practice, which would also be quite well. And Uganda EDCA Communication Officer Mr. Kennedy Kiza also said the company records losses of that is shillings 3 billion every year due to vandalism and theft of also the electric wires in there. He further noted that this money is lost also through replacement of new wires and limited also the revenue from the people using power due to also the power bad shedding in there, which is also sometimes affecting businesses. And also he went on to say that he further noted the money is lost through replacement, and also the electricity distribution items differ from area to area. And shortly after the court passed the judgment of the two suspects, Mr. Kiza said also vandalism is all over the country, but differs also where here in Mayuge, where the wires and transport oil were also said to be stealing there, because most times we have also had cases where some people also move to steal the transformer oil that is for making chapats, which is really quite unfortunate because you are risking the lives of others. First of all, the consumers, just because you need the profits. First of all, that is why we are saying people must also ensure that they live what we call greed, because I believe greed is actually what is causing all this. But really, how can we ensure that also the tendencies, first of all, of people are getting to also steal these electric wires is concerned? We need to also ensure that we leave that, because as the people out there, if at all we are engaging in that, then definitely we are going to be leaving our lives in danger. This is why we are saying if at all these people are arrested, and then definitely they should also be taken to courts of law and then sentenced to heavy fines, to heavy also terms, and which should also come with fines. So nobody is getting to engage in that activity, and that's one thing also where we are saying should also not go on. And now let's move on to Mbale, where the Mbale Trade Fair to promote local manufacturers according to the organizers. This is also something we are seeing on the past morning, and this is something also I feel we need to also have, because in a rural city recently, remember last year we did have what we call the trade fair. But really, I want to say this should also come back, because this comes with opportunities, first of all, of business where people can be educated, and also really share, where people can be able to share opinions and ideas happening in there now. In Bali, the Uganda Manufacturers Association, which also revealed the upcoming Bali Regional also really trade exhibition, is set to promote local manufacturers in the Eastern region. Remember, the Uganda Manufacturing Association is actually one body that is actually responsible for those who are involved in the medium and small scale industries, and this is already where we are saying these people must also be supported. And one way they can actually be supported is actually through these such exhibitions, where also people get to also have markets. First of all, also there's advertisement, and then there's market for the products, which is actually one key components in business, and that's why we are saying people must also respect that. And UMA's also the Eastern Region Trade Fair Exhibition Chairman Eddie Senkumba also made this remark: we will have organized the Eastern Region Trade Fair to promote and locally manufactured products, and also to provide a platform for brand exposure and connection to customers in there. This is something also where I want to say is quite well, because these trade fairs are first of all bringing a number of key stakeholders together, where they can be able to share ideas and brainstorm on here another, and where you can be able to sort of learn from a colleague. And this is already where it could be able to sort of help you grow your business, and that is why we are saying this shouldn't also maybe remain in Eastern, but rather it should also move, that is, to West Nile, and we should also embrace it. And in his view, they want to facilitate business to business linkages by bringing also manufacturers and suppliers from all stakeholders, and also under one roof in their business that wish to introduce a new product, and also to bigger markets also should also seek audience from that. And that's why we are saying exhibitors will also have an opportunity also to benchmark and acquire spontaneous orders that also which they can negotiate and settle in real time, which would also increase their revenue. And Mr. Seguma noted that this year they have collaborated with the Uganda also Cooperative Alliance, Microfinance Support Center, Uganda Bureau Services Bureau, Uganda Revenue Authority, and support people in growing that their circles and cooperatives, and that's something we did see happening in there. And he added that also an effort to grow women entrepreneurs in Bale, Jinja, Iganga, Soroti, Tororo, and neighboring districts have also designated space specifically for them also to showcase their products. And a new addition also include that facilitating growth and development also in agribusiness and value addition through partnerships with circles and also farmer groups in there. That's something we see happening in there. As the communication deposit also protection, also communication deposit, other that is of deposit protection fund, as Director Patrick Ezaga stresses the importance that's of reaching out to all regions that's of the country to market and promote also the products manufactured locally in there. And this is something else we did see happening in there. But what we are saying is let also people also ensure that they take advantage of what we call this trade fair, so that already people get to identify also their products in there, because at the end of the day we see so many people be attracted also for this engagement, which to me is really the way to go. Because at the end of the day, if at all people also maybe moving these trade fairs, first of all, the prices are very, very much minimal, and this is also where people get to also share ideas here and there, which would also be quite well. And this is why we are saying people must also really ensure that they take advantage of whatever is coming up their way into these trade fairs, which to me would also be quite well at the end of the day, by also really reaching out to the different people. And this is one thing also which I want to say should also be taken advantage of, other than also just sitting out in there. And let's now summarize the first hour with what is happening in politics, because really this is really where people have been following up of late, and this is really in relation to the tours, because I do understand that also really Bobi Wine is actually traversing some parts of the region and the country at large, where he is actually set to also move into West Nile sub-region as we are waiting, because really we did see him also being blocked. That is a Sevu bridge as he was also proceeding to Palisa, and this is something also where we did see that happening. And remember, Kano Kizza Besje has also been doing the same, and some people have also been saying other presidents have actually been doing the same under different protests, under different projects, where we have seen also really them moving actually in different places. And this is already where we are saying now politics is unveiling amidst also the few days. And remember, we are just left with about 17 months now, that is into also really what we call the politics time in there. But really what we are yet following up on is the riot also under regular of police on Friday, so blocked the national platform party president, that's Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu aka Bobi Wine, at Sezibwa bridge along the Kayunga Mukono highway as he was proceeding to Palisa. Also that's where we was scheduled to hold a mobilization rally in there, and police forces used the patrol vans that's to block also the former presidential candidate, from crossing to Kayunga district under a few minutes. We did see also Bobi Wine with a host of lawmakers traveling also in a Toyota here. So probably known as a drone, arrived and the blockage resulting into a stampede also happening in there. But really, how can we ensure this matters does not also go on? Because we are saying people must also ensure maybe this matter is concerned, and this is one thing also we need to avoid. And furious about the blockage, Mr. Kyagulanyi also is standing atop his white Land Cruiser vehicle, asked the police why they were also blocking his way, that is to Palisa in there. But really, how can we ensure this matter also does not go on? And we did see a verbal exchange ensuing as Mr. Kyagulanyi also and his entourage, among them who include his brother Fred Nyanzi, the party's national mobilization also coordinator, and the leader of opposition parliament, that's Mr. Joel Senyonyi, also tried to drive also past the blockade in there. But this is how can we ensure that also this matter does not go on, because it is his right to move and also have an association also with others. And minutes later, we did see Mr. Kyagulanyi and the NUP leaders gave up and made a U-turn and drove back in there. But really, how could we ensure that also this matter does not go on? And we did see it was unclear whether they drove back to Kampala or tried other alternative routes, that's eastern Uganda districts of Palisa. But we did see also some Kayunga NUP leaders who had been by morning gathered at Zibo also bridge to welcome their leader, also drove back to Kayunga in there. But really, how can we ensure that also these issues of people being blocked is concerned? Because we are going to be witnessing more of this happening, that is towards 2025. But really, how can we ensure that also this matters does not happen? Because we have seen it so many times, people also being blocked in there. But really, what is the cause? Is it also criminal for people to also have these gatherings? Because we did see police also recently issuing out also a warning that Kyagulanyi did not also really abide by the laws that were given to him in his first round, because this is the first round, and in the first round he actually moved that up to Arua. But really, how can we ensure that also this matter does not go on? Because if at all this matter continues to go on, we are likely to also witness a lot of chaotic scenes that is ahead of 2025, because in 2025 this is when we start witnessing politics playing its part. But what really is the solution is the question also already, as the viewer you could have an impact on, you could have a say on what exactly needs to be done in there. But really, as we get to move on at Bologama Swamp, that's along Mbale Tirinyi Road, two NUP supporters were also intercepted by police, led by also Chibuku District Police Commander, that's Dicken Duretemba, who questioned them before ordering them to go back, that is to where they came from. Also, this is something we did see happening, and this comes out days after Mr. Kyagulanyi was on May 22nd blocked also from also entering Kamuli, where he had planned to start his nationwide mobilization. But really, we did see him also insisting that he is going to also have this mobilization also as planned. He is not going to give up. But this is something also where we did see happening, and the police said Mr. Kyagulanyi's mobilization activities were suspended last year, and that he won't also be allowed to conduct his mobilization tour, despite Mr. Kyagulanyi saying he will also use this also because it is lawful, and he has not also gone against any law. And that is why we are saying this matter also should be addressed, because if at all we are going to be seeing Mr. Kyagulanyi and his team also continue with the rallies, and then definitely that is also going to result in what we call running battles with the Uganda police and other security agencies, which may they result into loss of lives, which will also maybe result into injuries, and also destruction of property in there, which would also be very bad. And that's why we are saying the issued guidelines, first of all, by police must be respected by all the candidates, not only Kyagulanyi, but other political candidates also must respect the issued guidelines in place, so that also nobody is left out, so that also nobody is engaging in running battles, which would also be quite unfortunate in there. But really, as we get to move on with the show, I hope you are there having a wonderful time. This is just something also where I want to leave at the first hour with. How do we ensure that also we do not also get engaged in running battles as we are in this process of trying to mobilize the masses? Because the masses whom we are maybe risking their lives at danger will need also vote for us if at all they get the injuries, if they are told maybe they get scared. And that is why we are saying people must respect the issued guidelines in place. And that does summarize our first hour. And this is still the KOKLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV channel 477 and online across all the social media platforms. My name is Majid. Stay tuned as we bounce back shortly from the commercial break.
West Nile TV, lighting up. the region.
The search for Miss Uganda 2024 is on. Get ready to be wowed by the girls' intelligence, charisma, and big dreams. Who will be the next Miss Uganda? Find out starting 10th May every Friday to Sunday at 8 p.m. on Makulachika, exclusively on Star Times. For more details on how to join the competition, visit www.missuganda.co.ug or visit Star Times branches. The show is sponsored by VNA, LMZ, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Grace Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, true Ugandan beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back to our short commercial breather. This is the KOKLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV, the first edition for this week, and it's a brand new week, I must say. And this is already the last week into the month of May as well, because we are both into a new week and also the evening of another month, and that's why we are saying it is actually one day you should also really be asking yourself, and this is already where you should make an assessment as the learners are returning back to school. Are you among those who are returning back to school today? Is the question already you should be asking yourself. But as a viewer, maybe as a guardian or parent out there, you should also ask yourself if at all your child is actually among those returning back to school today. Because if at all he or she is not, what are you doing to ensure that they return back to school? Because if at all the performances are very bad, that will also really help us. Maybe that will not help us, and that is why we are saying people must also ensure that they also really have their children sent back to school today. If at all that is the case, that is quite well, because in the morning I was able to see a number of children actually on the roads that's going to school, and that means that already our learners are actually getting to understand why they need to be at school. Because over the years we used to have the tendency on the first day where children do not want to go to school because they say it is actually the day for cleaning the school compound, but who is there to do that for you? Maybe whom did you employ as a maid to do that for you? These are the questions only as a parent you should be able to ask your child if at all your child is telling you that excuse. This is something also really I feel we need to solely start as a reminder that's the parents to also really ensure they send back their children either today or also within the week, so that also no child remains home, because education is key. And now sort of the second hour with I want to connect, that is also really to Alfred Jawok, who is on the way with the pilgrims. That's from Nebi Catholic Diocese. And remember, Nebi Catholic Diocese is actually the one animating this year's celebration that is slated for June, which is just some few days, around 3rd. This is only where we are going to be celebrating the Martyrs' Day. But really, how ready are we? Is the question solely we should be able to ask ourselves out there. Because how are we likely to celebrate this day with them? Is actually something also really where we do not want to leave anybody out. We want to make sure that each and everybody is actually also really not left out in there, because we did understand that also they were about to also reach now the area where we were told they were just remaining with about 113 kilometers about there, because they are about to reach. They have already trekked, that is half almost past the 90% of the journey, and that is why we are saying we continue to pray for God also to take them safely, as also to return them safely in there, because for somebody to get that courage of moving up that long distance in there is actually something which is not easy. And that is why if I told you are weak in faith, you may not be able to solely finish the journey in there. But really has somebody who is maybe destined, somebody who loves God, definitely you will be able to solely understand why you need to also really maybe move to that journey, because we have also realized that so many times people do not want to move these long distances because they feel they cannot be able to make it. But we have seen also really disabled people, really also that is why we are saying disability is not inability. We have seen people with disability actually leading a team on their wheelchairs, are very much determined, and this is only where we have seen actually them also saying it is not their very last time, and they feel excited about the journey, by the way. And that is why I believe this journey is actually quite interesting. As you're moving, you keep on having a lot of morale, and I remember actually where people also really move in groups. It's quite amazing. I remember those days when we used to go for morale boosting, moving in crowds also really is actually one thing that where you not realize the journey, the distance of the journey. Actually, that's why we are saying this journey is actually a very, very much interesting one, and this is why we are saying to all the Christians out there who have never tried this journey, also maybe in the next also edition you need to try it out, because we have seen people doing that. It's quite easy where you just move in crowds and have these resting places, which is really quite amazing. I really want to say once again, we must also ensure that we embrace this journey, so that sorry nobody is left out in there. As we get move on with the show, remember so many issues continue to happen, and this is only in the world of also really in there. But really I will be able to connect you Jawok later, where he will be able to tell us maybe how they are prepared. That is only for this year's journey on that where they have exactly reached, and he will be telling us that later on. That is only where he will be able to let us know. But for now, let's first see what exactly is happening in there, because we want to understand what exactly is happening to the matters and how they have reached, and then the condition is. And now let's first connect briefly to Alfred Jawok, who is with the team. Alfred, good morning.
Yes, good morning all our viewers. Good morning Faris Majid. Good morning West Nile TV. Good morning West Nile Region.
How is the journey? Where are people reached exactly?
Indeed, as I talk, we are in Bombo,
and
we are about to take off. We have very many dignitaries from West Nile that have joined us here.
Okay.
And all the pilgrims are very healthy and they are ready to reach Namugungu.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I may be briefly to ask, maybe who are those dignitaries who have joined the camp? Among them, who is reputable?
Now we have Honorable Minister Fiona Nyamutoro. Is also a minister. She has just joined us and she is able to work with us up to Matuga. So you can speak to her.
Okay.
Good morning, Minister. You are live on West Nile TV. Good morning. Are they going to ask?
Yes, good morning, Honorable.
Good morning. Good morning, West Nile TV.
This is actually quite amazing to hear that you have joined the camp and you are going to be trekking up to Namugongo. But really, on a sad note, I heard you are going to be stopping at Matuga. How is the journey like?
The team is very energized. We bless the Lord for His grace, for protecting them. And as a member of the diocese, I'm not just proud of these people, but it is a very strong message to the entire country and the world.
Okay.
Especially to the young people, that the fear of the Lord is the right way to go.
Okay. So I don't know how you are going to be starting the journey, because I do understand that where you are camping is actually where you have been resting. At what time is the journey maybe from there to proceed? And maybe if I can be able to ask the distance from Bombo to camp, maybe Namgongo, how long is it?
The distance from Bombo to Matuga is about 10 kilometers.
Okay.
And then we shall have a rest at Matuga and proceed from there to Namugongo.
Okay.
I'm not very conversant with how far it is from Matuga to Namugongo.
Okay.
But yes, the journey is almost complete, and you can be sure that this far they have come, they are all going to reach safely.
Okay. Yes. Maybe how are the people doing? Do you have cases of sicknesses according to your own observations?
The Lord always protects His people. The Lord has been good. There are no incidences. There are no health challenges. Everybody is healthy. Everybody is still energized. Everybody can't wait to reach Namugongo.
All right, all right. We wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
All right. Alfred Jawak.
Yes, Farid.
Thank you so much for the update.
We are good to go now, and we want to say all our viewers will be keep posted about every event as we reach Namugongo. And our ministers, we have PWDs. They're also very healthy right from the day go, because this one here, the one you know, Jabero, Jabero is also healthy, and everyone is healthy.
Okay. Yes. Okay, we wish you all the best. We shall be keeping updated, the viewers updated up to the end of the show. And remember, until the final destination, I don't know how many days you are going to be reaching, that is to the final maybe area, and how many stopovers you could be having on the journey. But we shall be getting that tomorrow as we get to move on with the show. And that is Alfred Jawak, and he is also with the team. They are already about some few meters, also maybe a few kilometers to reach their final destination. And as West Nile TV, we remain committed to keeping you informed of maybe how and where exactly this journey is actually going to be ending, and that will not also remain there. And when the team is coming back, we shall also be keeping you informed in there. But as we get to move on with the show, remember, so many issues continue to happen in the country and in the region at large. But really, as we are bouncing back, let's now see on a sad note where a police officer has also been on the run after shooting, that is a suspect dead in there. But really, how exactly is that happening, and how should this also be happening? And now the police in the Albertine region are searching for one also of their own that's identified as Eugenia Senono, a police constable who was allegedly shot dead. That's the suspect also in there. This incident happened on Wednesday at about 11 p.m. That's at Baboi village. That's in Kitamba parish in Buijaj sub-county, when Senono also really attached to Buijanga police post went to arrest, that's Ronald Asimwe, a 30-year-old who was also facing an assault case in there. And according to the Albertine Regional also police spokesperson, Mr. Julius Hakiza, also a scuffle ensued, leading to Senono opening a fire also on Nassim, and he was hit by a stray bullet, killing him instantly. Also, Senono fled with a rifle, later dumping it at the roadside. And this is something also we did see happening, and detectives also from Masindi Central Police Station rushed the scene of crime after receiving information and recovered also the body and took it to Masindi General Hospital for postmortem before handing it out over. That is the relative for burial arrangements. We have also received information that the gun which Mr. Akiza also used on Thursday evening was also recovered in there, and yet the gun for Senono and the comprehensive investigation into the matter continues in there. But really, how do we also really, as somebody who is trained, if at all, maybe And that is why we are saying when police are going for arrests, first of all, they must make sure those people whom they are going to be arresting are not more powerful than them. And this is one thing also really, which at the end of the day where we are saying people must not resist arrest. And if at all you're not guilty, why do you resist also being arrested? Just hand yourself over to police so that only police can take you and you may be able to defend yourself in the courts of law. And that is why we are saying people must also really not take the laws in their hands. And issues of this such caliber must also be avoided, which would also to me at the end of the day mean very much in there. And now that is also the way I want to leave that issue aside. And now let's also really talk about Uganda Cancer Institute, which also received that's a paying to aid the rehabilitation of the children's ward. And really, if you can move to Mulago, also really where this cancer is happening, uterine cancer is actually one disease that does not exclude any person of any age. It's not a disease which maybe you can say is for adults. On a quite sad note, if you move there, you'll be able to realize that we have so many children who have the disease, and others actually born while having this disease, which is really quite unfortunate, and in a significant contribution to the community and support of pediatric cancer care. We did see also the Kansai Plasco Uganda Limited has generously also donated, that is the paint, that is to rehabilitate the children's ward at the Uganda Cancer Institute. And this donation is also really part of the Plasco's ongoing commitment, that is to corporate social responsibility and giving back to the communities within the areas in which it operates. And that's also something we did see happening in the handover ceremony, which took place on Friday, May 24th of also 2024 at the Uganda Cancer Institute, was attended by key stakeholders, including that's the representative from Kansai Plascon, Uganda Cancer Institute, and the Uganda Child also Cancer Foundation, and the CG Engineering Consultants, who will also be carrying out the refurbishment or work. And that's something we did see happening in there. Mr. Santosh Gumte, the managing director of Kansai Plasco Uganda, expressed his company's dedication to supporting also really the health and well-being initiatives. And we said we are honored to be part of also this initiative to enhance the environment where children also really receive critical cancer treatment. At Kansai Plasco, we believe in giving back to communities, and also we hope this refurbishment will make a positive impact. That is on the children's healing also journey in that, because today we have also realized that cancer is actually one disease that has not been excluding people of different ages. We have children who have cancer, but really this is where we are saying people must also really pray for their children. People must also really ensure that also exposing their children to this disease is also really something they must also really ensure that they be very much keen on. And Dr. Jackson Oriem, the head of Uganda Cancer Institute, board chairman of Uganda Child also Cancer Foundation, highlighted also really the importance of donation, and this also really said is going to have an impact on them. And Uganda Cancer Institute, located that's along Upper Mulago Hill Road, that's also really in Kampala, is a public medical care facility also really in partnership with Ministry of Health, is focuses on research, training, also really consultation, prevention, and also treatment of cancer in various specialties, also really including pediatrics, oncology, gynecology, therapy, surgery, and pharmacy also in there. And the pharmacy and the institute also maintains an inpatient facility with about a capacity of 200 patients daily. And Uganda Cancer Institute is affiliated with Makerere University School of Medicine and Mulago also hospital complex in there, providing a robust platform for medical education and also research in there. We did see Mr. Moses Echodu, a programs manager at Uganda Cancer, also Child Cancer Foundation, expressed his gratitude. That is to the body for supporting the pain in there. But that's something also we have to say should also be taken care of, because Uganda Cancer Institute's history dates also back, that is 1965, originated from meeting that's in Kampala, focusing on treatment of Burkitt's also lymphoma, and this began at the Lymphoma Treatment Center, that is the year 1967, and treatment also has grown to include us various treatment also facilities in there. Despite all the challenges, including political instability and economic decline, Uganda Cancer Institute has continued to serve as a beacon that is that's cancer care and research in the region. And this is where we have also seen at the end of the day many people actually asking for help. That is only in different aspects, also where we have seen a number of people also reaching out to the government, also requesting for different help. And that's why we are saying also we need to have more of these regional centers established, that's also to help aid in what we call cancer treatment here, because we have seen most of the times where the government of Uganda has been trying its best to establish what we call regional cancer centers. This is also to help decongest what is happening at Mulago National Hospital. Because if you move at Mulago, you'll be able to realize that also sometimes the facility is very much overwhelming, where the numbers cannot be ably accommodated in there. But really, that is also where we are saying the regional facilities, where we are going to be having one in a rural city, and also really another be established in Gulu, which will also act as regional centers, which is really quite good, because if you move to Mulago National Referral Hospital, you will realize that also really the numbers are quite quite huge. And each and every day, coupled also with the challenges of transport, other people who are poor may not be able to solely afford moving that to one facility to another. And this is really where we are saying issues of radiotherapy, first of all, which is actually very keen, where we also need the chemotherapy also being conducted in there, but really sometimes where one is required to also undergo more of that, and in most cases where and the services actually require money, where people would not have the monies, often give up, and that is why we are saying the regional facilities would actually act as a solution, congesting what is happening at Mulago. And this is where maybe somebody who's from West Nile can just be able to access the facility within West Nile, which would also be quite well. And that is why we need to leave that discussion aside now. Let's move on, where MPs have shared mixed reactions on censure motion for parliamentary commissioners. Also is something that we are seeing on the past morning, and the motion that's to impeach 4 commissioners of parliament, including that's the former leader of opposition in parliament, Mr. Matthias Mpuga, has also drawn mixed reaction from the legislators, and at least 35 members of parliament had also signed the motion by yesterday, while others are still also tight-lipped on 2 days after the section of legislators launched it. And this is something else we did see happening in there. And the section of legislators who spoke us to confirm to have signed the motion papers, including also there is an added need to restore the dignity of the August House, which has also already been turned into a corruption hub by some leaders, especially the backbench commissioners. And that's something we did see happening in there. And the Forum for Democratic Changes, Roland Kaginda, who represents Rukunjiri municipalities, among those who signed it in favor of the motion. And this is something we did see him also talking about it. And he said, this is very important because corruption is also really affecting service delivery. Look at our hospitals. They have no medicine. The roads are impassable because very few people are eating money on behalf of the others. And we also did see the Hoima municipality legislator, Mr. Patrick Isingoma, who is an independent, also really said his vote is in favor of that of the censor motion, is a step towards also holding themselves accountable. And that's something you did see happening in there. And he said this parliament is a very important institution, and it's regarded also as a beacon of hope and also accountability of this country. And as MPs, we must protect it, and this is why I have signed the censor motion to recall our commissioners. And Mr. Isogoma also already said that yesterday. And Mr. Herbert Taebwa, the Kashogi County MP and member of NRM, said legislators also should not stop impeaching the current commissioners, but should also advocate for commissioners, but should also advocate for law amendments. And he wants all also commissioners of parliament elected by all MPs, as opposed to being nominated by political parties, as something also we did see happening in there. And on Tuesday also we did see a section of MPs also led by Mr. Theodore Sechkubo, the Lemiaga County MP, launched a motion to impeach the 4 commissioners of parliament over, that is the shillings 1.7 billion service awards, which these people shared among themselves. And in the ongoing campaign, the legislators are seeking that to allocate, that's the 177 signatures from the colleagues also to enable them to table the drafted motion also on the floor parliament in there. And the 4 commissioners targeted in the consensus motion include, that is Matthias Mpuga, who received himself 500 million, Esther Foyochan, who also received part of the money, Solomon Siranyi, and also we did see Prosia Kampurira, who received 40 million each as awards in there. Mr. Sechkubo, who spent also part of the yesterday at the special table, also did talk about the same matter. We did see also the leader of opposition in parliament, that's Joel Senyu, also said he has commended the NRM counterparts for taking a lead, that is in restoring sanity in parliament. This position has also learned that Mr. Senyu is set also to sign the motion by also today in there. But really, how can we ensure that also this maybe this matter is addressed? Because we have seen now MPs have also expressed mixed reactions on that, and that is really something where we need to understand that maybe this incident that happened is definitely against the law, but really how do we ensure that we also control that? That is also really where I need to also really have your opinions on as we get to move on with the show. Now let's look at how the story is happening on the past morning, and looking on at the Nile Post. Uganda People's Defense Force officials soldier found dead on Lake Victoria is also another story we are seeing on the past morning, as security operatives that's in Namaingo district have embarked on investigations onto the mysterious disappearance of a UPDF soldier attached, that is to Fisheries Protection Unit at Lorwe Marine Detached in there. It's alleged that a private look Kaponyang under R/A 248760 disappeared while on duty, and according to the Namaingo district, also resident district commissioner Trevor Solomon Badeke Kaponyang, 28 years, was killed on duty in there. But who exactly killed him is something also we do not know. And it says the soldier disappeared on May 15th at about 4:30 p.m. a.m. when a Kenyan fisherman kidnapped him while on duty. That's something we did see happening. The preliminary investigation indicate that the deceased also was in company of 4 others under the leadership of Lieutenant Agbe Atwamu in the. But really, what exactly happened to him? Because this is something also where we did see that they were intercepted by 4 fishermen who were allegedly found fishing on the Ugandan waters, that is of Athama and Wayasi Islands in Namaingo. But really, what exactly happened to this gentleman? In the process, the fishermen from the neighboring Kenya kidnapped Kaponyang in their boat, where we did see also maybe that led to his killing. In the security officers indicate that the case of suspected also murder by drowning was reported at Namainga CPS via the under the GEF 122024 for investigation also in there. But really, how do we ensure that this issue is also happening? Maybe because over times we have seen the relationship between fishermen and the fishery protection unit not being quite well in there, because most of the water bodies have been also really witnessing deployment of the army on, but really this has not been quite well, with some fishermen who have also been very much engaging in running battles with also the security agencies. And at times we have also seen sometimes also the authorities arresting also really fishermen from the other countries who illegally fluke and find their ways also into our water bodies. But really, how do we ensure this matter is maybe this matter is addressed? And that is also something I feel also need to be done quickly in that. But like added that the body was taken to Bombo military barracks for postmortem and further management, and it has also been established that Private Kapuyabang was a resident of Palisa district in India. But really, how do we ensure that also these matters that continue to happen in the society is concerned as maybe addressed? Because most of the times we have been seeing that happening. Really, that is quite not, and we on a quite sad note, we need to also pray for this soldier to also rest in the eternal peace, because he was murdered while on duty. I really want to say maybe the perpetrators also should be brought to book. Maybe if they're told they identified in that would also be quite well. And that's why we are saying people must also respect the issued guidelines in place. Now that also does some other topic. Now let's move to Kagadi, where Kagadi, actually a new district, is reading from MPs who have arrived in there. This is also another story that we are seeing on the past morning. Local leaders in Kagadi district are running this legislation also with the character of legislators. They voted also in parliament. They say nothing also is being done to set that's the new district on the socio-economic transformation, but also so much of arrivalism is on show. And that's something also we did see happening. And the locals and the leaders accused the legislators of spending time looking in the mirror, buying the latest car models, and counting time spent flying abroad. And this is the time they say happens at the district also struggles with the poor roads that hinders improvement and development, poor health care system, and lack of also really a clean and safe water, among others in there. Mr. Vincent Biamukama from Mpefu Town Council said the sorry state of readiness has made movements very hard, claiming that some women give birth on their way, that is medical facilities, and that's why others have died as a result of overbleeding. That's also maybe they're on this road, and that's why they're not also having trust in their MPs. But really, how do we ensure that also we bring the MPs that we elected to book? And this is why we are saying people who have also elected also must also elect carefully. And this is why we are saying, as the time and the period is coming, they need to also start looking at maybe who exactly they are going to be voting. And this is also where we are saying they need to vote for people who exactly they know are going to also bring the services, clothe them. And this is why also something I must say is happening, and we should also really maybe the same issues that is happening to Kagadi could be happening elsewhere in the various districts. But really, how do we ensure that also really that we hold the people that we elected accountable is actually the way also we need to ask ourselves, because many times people have been also complaining about the people they elected who have not been able to also offer them the services. Recently, I was in the community baraza in a road district also where the people also said sometimes they elect MPs who buy new cars and also have and make sure that the vehicles have what we call tinted mirrors, so that also as they are passing the training centers, people do not also get to understand them. And why is that coming? It is also actually emerging as a result of something small, which has actually become a tendency of the voters maybe in the different parts of the country, where they feel also they need to get from the maybe the politicians and the issues of something small, which has also become a tendency, is actually something also really where we did see somebody also that time telling us that he was asked, "You're just leaving us like that," which is actually a clear indication that also really you must leave us something small, maybe as talking of precision, but really this is also where people are now prioritizing it over services. And that's why also we need to summarize the discussion with this is also my kind advice. As we are getting closer to 2026, we must make sure that people whom we are going to vote are the ones who are actually the ones who know our trends and who actually know how to lobby and who exactly know what exactly also to bring back. And this is really where at the end of the day we may realize improvement in services, and that is where I also close that discussions with. We are 30 minutes after 8 o'clock, and our final destination remains 9 o'clock. And at 9 o'clock, that is when the news bulletin Lubarati will be coming through. But for now, let's have this short commercial break and we bounce shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
For Miss Uganda 2024 is on. Get ready to be wowed by the girls' intelligence, charisma, and big dreams. Who will be the next Miss Uganda? Find out starting 10th May every Friday to Sunday at 8 p.m. on Makulachika, exclusively on Star Times. For more details on how to join the competition, visit www.missuganda.co.ug or visit Star Times branches. The show is sponsored by VNA, LMZ, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors, Grace Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, true Ugandan beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, welcome back from a short commercial break, and now to start off this hour with also what is happening in Tororo. We did see also really that something happening in there where the money that was already obtained from standard rail gauge also being diverted in there. Now we are also receiving information that Tororo District Local Government has failed to already pass the 2024-2025 financial year budget after it also already emerged that the Standard Rail Gauge Railway Compensation Fund has been diverted to amenities also really for local leaders in there. But really what exactly happened and what began as a normal council sitting to pass also both the supplementary and 2024-2025 financial year budget as Tororo District Council chambers turned chaotic after councillors also really noticed misappropriation of funds meant for the construction of staff quarters at Tororo Hospital in there. But really what exactly happened, and according to the local legislators, the district hospital recently received that is a compensation of shillings, also really 3.6 billion after getting affected by the SGR towards also the construction of staff quarters in there. But really what exactly happened, and to their dismay, we did see also the process of scrutinizing the budget. The district councillors also realized what the part of the monies were meant also instead allocated to individual officers, including that's the district also chairperson, Cow also really, and the speaker, to enable them pass also the purchase new vehicles also in there. But really what exactly happened, if at all, this was also done, and the letter seen by NIPOS shows that over 200 million was put towards purchase of the double cabin pickup, and the shillings 100 million also was put towards purchase of furniture in Speaker's office, among others also in there. But really what exactly happened, and the councillor who stormed out of the meeting prematurely further revealed that what annoyed them was also to find out that even the little they had allocated to facilitate their monitoring was allegedly scrapped from the budget also in there. But really what exactly happened, but according to the district speaker, Betty Claria, the alleged allocated funds was passed by the council, and she accused the legislators of not standing by their words solely in there. But really what exactly happened, and over 70 councillors also said that they will never also really pass the budget unless the budget is also really scrutinized and few corrections are made into the matter. Really what exactly happened, because really if at all money that was also received, because when this money was actually received, we also been told that this money is actually going to be used for the development of staff quarters at the hospital. But really now the money to be also really be diverted like that, maybe without the consent of the speaker of the council, is really quite unfortunate. And really that's also really where we are saying these matters must be addressed very well as we get to move on. Leaving that also aside, now let's look at what is happening. European Union commit to shillings 60 billion that is support the tourism sector. Is another story we are seeing on this past morning, and the European Union is committed to supporting what we call tourism sector through financing visibility and also fostering local participation in tourism development. And that's also according to information from European Union ambassador to Uganda, that's Jan Sadek, also who said that. And Ambassador Sadek was speaking also during a panel discussion at the theme sustainable financing of tourism, also really for tourism held at the sidelines of the ongoing Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, abbreviated as POATE at Munyonyo, also in Kampala. The panel discussion also really was moderated by the principal of the Uganda Tourism Hotel and Tourism Institute, and also really tourism enthusiast, that's Richard Kawere in there. But really how exactly what happened, and really how do we ensure that our tourism sector booms, because we have enormous potential tourism sites also really across the country, but really most of them have not been also really labeled very well in that. That's why we're saying also maybe through money we may be able to advertise our tourism sector, so that more people can be able to jet into the country and also come and understand what is exactly happening in the tourism. And this commitment for Treasury Secretary, that's Ramadan Gobi, a commitment that the government will invest in branding and marketing also Uganda as preferred tourism destination in India. Mr. Gobi, also the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Finance, said the government has a policy of supporting sectors abbreviated as the ATM, including agriculture, tourism, and mining also in there. But that's something also we are saying we need to be done in there. And he said tourism development is projected to generate shillings 50 billion in 2040 and up to also really shillings 2 billion in 2023 in there. But really as we also following up on that matter, and Mr. Gobi said he was also aware tourism in Uganda was still also faced with many challenges, including what we call limited marketing, inadequate workforce, and limited skills and poor road infrastructure in there. But really he further cautioned Ugandans to stop what we call bad mouthing and their country, which he said is affecting their growth of the sector. And that's something also we are saying also needs to be done. And the Vice Chancellor of Victoria University, Professor Lawrence Muganga, in an earlier discussion with UTB to also adopt disruptive thinking strategies also to market the country. Also in the Victoria University was also at one of the Victoria University also at one of the spot of appointing, that is Shanita Namuimba Bad Black as the brand ambassador, and that's to help market the maybe the tourism sector. And really that's something also where I want to say is also something we need to also ensure we also abide by. And the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo is an annual tourism and travel show that is also organized by Uganda Tourism Board, and I really feel the event also brings together different tourism chain sectors and stakeholders also to come together for networking opportunities and business deals in there. But really what we are saying is that tourism still remains one of the key that is also foreign generating income generating activities also for the country, and that is why we need to develop it. And once we develop it, I believe we are going to be also really achieving very much from it. And that is why we are saying each and everybody must actually be interesting themselves in tourism, because if you see some of the potential tourism sites in also in the country, you need to realize that sorry, we have the Pakwach Eclipse Monument Center, which is actually one of the potential tourism sites. If at all it is well very marketed, it would actually be attracting so many tourists. Move to Obongi, we have so many tourism attracting sites. What about in Terego, where at Mountain Wati, where maybe the elders or grandfather of Lugbara also is said to be buried from? How do we also make sure that these facilities also really attract more tourists? And really, I want to say domestic tourism, actually one way we need to start with that. That's why we are saying people must also really start ensuring that they get engaged in what we call domestic tourism, so that nobody is left out in there. As we get moving with the show now, let's look at some of the stories happening this morning. Uganda has received 3 million doses of foot-and-mouth disease. That's from Egypt. Is also another story we are seeing on this first morning. And in a bid to boost Uganda's agricultural tourism sector, the country has also already received a shipment of 3 million doses. That's of foot-and-mouth disease also vaccine from Egypt, and the consignment marks the first time such a number of vaccine doses has been delivered at once. That's Uganda is signaling a major step in combating the highly contagious livestock disease, and that's something what we are seeing on this morning. And the vaccines were formally also received at Entebbe International Airport by senior presidential advisor on special operations, that's General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, accompanied also by the Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, that's Frank Mwebazi in there, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture from Egypt, along with the Egyptian Defense attached, that's Uganda, officially handed over the vaccines also in there. And present at the handover, we are the Minister of State for Animal Industry, Bright Ramirama, and MAIF, Permanent Secretary, that's Major General David Kasura Komkama, and other senior ministry officials. And the vaccines also acquisition achieved at the subsidized cost comes at a critical time when Uganda is actually needing the drugs. That's to also combat the disease in there. And the Ministry of Agriculture imposed the quarantine also where we did see that the two countries due to outbreak of foot-and-mouth disease, and speaking also the concern and also sparking concern and arrest in the cattle corridor. In the region is heavily dependent on milk and also beef. That's also production, with millions of Ugandans relying on livestock for the livelihoods also in there. The affected districts include Luero, Gomba, Sinjiro, Kazo, Chirhura, and Semabule, who have reported numerous cases of foot-and-mouth disease within also the houses, and that's also where something we did see happening in there. And in response also of livestock and other livestock products out of the districts, that's already to prevent the disease. And Uganda's total susceptible animal herd requiring also really foot-and-mouth disease vaccination is estimated that's at 44 million, and the necessity in an annual vaccine stock that is of 88 million doses for the biannual also vaccination. As shared also costing that is $2 per dose, and amounting that's also really 176 million per year, and that's something dollars per year in that. That's something we did see happening in that morning. And remember, that's something where I must say we need to also keep ourselves in mind of. That's one thing also I want to say is happening, and that's where we need to expect these vaccines. And for those who receive the vaccines, we must also make sure that we also get to also give them to the animals. That's already more of this disease cannot be able to be also sweetness, and that's already something I feel I must also remind you of as the viewer. Let's see what is happening elsewhere. As CK gets accreditation as training center for first aid and supporting Uganda is another story we are seeing on this morning. And CK IHK has announced its accreditation from the American Health and Safety Institute, a non-profit also organization that offers training skills that's for first responders on the appropriate also really first aid response actions. So in there, that's something we did see happening. And the endorsement also really was announced by Dr. Miriam Mutero Musinga at the general manager CK IHK hospital in there. And that's something we did see happening. And really during the ceremony, 30 border cyclists and also house managers were awarded certificates following a comprehensive safety skills training program on how to handle basic medical emergencies effectively. And that's something we did see in the head of A&E and also really his training center, that's the director, urged to take part in the training as well as to enable also quality, also savings of life in there. And that's something where I feel as we get to climax of the show, so it needs to be done. And Justin Opas, the deputy traffic commander of the Kampala Metropolitan Police, also encouraged the participants to go out and also share the knowledge with others. And he also appreciated the work that CK are doing also to also see that the country has that's first responders, that's the knowledgeable, and also really get the knowledge of exactly really transforming that knowledge also to society. And this is the second time, the second cohort of the training with first aid held last year, in which teachers and Uganda police officers we also engaged in. And that's something also I want to say needs also to be done in there, because at the end of the day we have seen many of the times accidents already happening, but really without also really getting the necessary support in there. But really that is one thing also really feel I need to also let you know of as we get the climax of the show. And now some other discussions with what is happening in the world of sports. As always, remember on Friday we did see also really the regional qualifiers, that is for the Elite League also ending, where we did see Ubuntu Soccer Club, also Giant Soccer Club from our Juman district, also emerging champions after beating Shreds in the final game. That's 2-0 in a game that was played at Arua Koa PTC, where the game also went and that ended that way. And now the team Ubuntu Giant Soccer Club is now set to meet the winners from the Northern region, that is in the also qualifiers also, and that's where we are going to be seeing the playoffs. If at all they win, then that means they will be representing West Nile region at what we call the Women Elite League. And that is only where we did see over the weekend Manchester United also really surprisingly beating Manchester City also to win the FA Cup in there, and the game ended 2-1. And I really want to say congratulations to the Manchester United fans upon that win there. But really that's also where we want to close the discussions with, as later on Owen Ezaga together with Linda Susie will be coming through with what we call the whistle time from 2 to 3 p.m. And that is why we are saying, as the viewer, you must also really stay locked to that. But for now, we are stepping aside, leaving the way. That is for the newsroom. That's of Eolaza, who already here to also let you know of what exactly what is happening in the world of liberty. And then for those who speak the language, alediani mia ile mi mate Eolaza ilimude ledi mukulia lore se chadi rabo erdibini mumini Eolaza liberty sirfen rama pasani dika madinga go drusilini. I'm out of here. Stay tuned, and really I will be bouncing back for the Tuesday edition, that is tomorrow. And I wish you a very good day and a good week as well, as we also really continue to give you what is happening in what we call current affairs. For now, I'm out. Until next time.